is about a 30-minute presentation when I talk really fast. So I am going to talk fast. I know it's recorded. Take notes. I am not looking at the chat box right now so that I can cover everything. But write down your questions because I do want to answer them, and you can always send me an email, or if we have time, I can answer them at the end. So going to college, what to know, where to start, and just a little bit of background on myself. My name is Amy Bencomo. I'm a College and Career Center Specialist at Prospect High School. This is my 9th year at Prospect. I started as a parent volunteer for 4 years. And then as my daughter started high school, I was hired and got to come here every day with her, which was an absolute dream for her. With my son, it was a nightmare. So, but I'm happy to be here. I love my job. Hold on. Sorry, dropped my ear. Okay, so I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me. All right. So, you know, the best way to start when you're thinking about college and career is to envision your future. And this is important. It's the student's future. It's not our vision of them. I know that as a parent, a lot of times we have a blueprint of our child, and that actually needs to be tweaked constantly. So empower your child and have them envision their future. So before you apply to college, think about careers that interest you, the student. Ask yourself the following questions. How much money do you want to make a year? What do you wear to work? Now that may sound a little bit silly, but maybe you wear a lab coat, maybe you wear running shoes, maybe you wear heels, I don't know. But those are things that sometimes when students envision themselves, part of their future is, you know, I mean, they're wearing clothes, they're wearing something. So what does your schedule and work hours look like? For some people, they're night owls. They want to work at night. Other people are morning people like myself. So those are things to think about. What does your work environment look like? You know, one of my first jobs was working on a trading floor in New York. So it was crazy, lots of hustle and bustle. That is going to look different than, you know, a doctor's office, a pharmacy, or, you know, now I'm drawing a blank, but you get the idea, different work environments. So, and then what does your work entail? What is the daily minutia that you're doing at your job? And something else that's important is what type of coworkers or people are you around? And the reason why that is important, and I had a conversation with a student that was like, you know what, I'm smart, I know what I'm doing, I don't need college. I said, not a problem, you know, but that is your choice. But think about where you will be hired without a higher education or a higher, you know, continued training and a degree. So think about your coworkers, because that's going to be impacted by the level of your education. So that's an important question and consideration for our students. There are resources when you are thinking about a career. So it's not just, you know, you come up with this on your own. Use the tools available. So we have the Holland Code Quiz, the career test that measures your interest in about 6 job areas to help you find the right career for you. Naviance. This platform helps you do career explorations and a personality survey. There's also California Career Zone, and this is to explore interest and see possible career options. And I think it also matches with a lot of community colleges that will have those specific AA degrees available. And all of those should be embedded links. If they don't work, just email me and I'll make sure that they are embedded. Once you determine a career interest, understand the requirements to achieve your goal. So a lot of times when I talk to students, I say, okay, you are 25. What are you doing, you know, that minute? And then what are the steps backwards to get you to there? So, and that's how you understand the requirements to achieve your goals. So just an FYI, college graduates earn more on average than any other workers. So your college degree means that you're less likely to face unemployment, and college graduates are more likely to experience job satisfaction. So every degree that you earn is, more money potentially over your lifetime, and it grows per level of degree. So that's just, sometimes students like to know about the financial outcomes. I like to give a little bit of background on the types of degrees that are available in the US. A lot of parents in our community may be educated, but we're not educated in the US. And so I always think like this is a good baseline for all of the parents to understand what are the options when students leave Prospect, and where do they go next. So typically for the College and Career Center, we are preparing students for their undergraduate degree. There are two types of degree for undergraduate. There's the associate degree, which is your 2-year degree. You can find that at any community college, West Valley, De Anza, those are the two closest. And then there's also a bachelor degree, which is the typical 4-year degree. So if you're going to San Jose State or UC Santa Cruz, those are institutions that offer 4-year degrees or bachelor degrees. After you earn a 4-year degree, you can go into graduate school. And there are 3 options, which are their master's degrees, usually about 1 to 2 years, doctoral degrees, about 5 to 7, they all vary, and also professional degrees, which are also doctoral degrees, about 5 to 7. So, and those professional degrees are doctors, lawyers, those kinds of things. And then I give you a link for more information. Now, this is also important. When, I always think that data helps you understand, calm down, and, when you have information, you're less stressed. So college admission facts. There are 4,000 colleges in the US, and they have a 66% acceptance rate. That's the national average. So, that includes Harvard, Stanford, and also includes Arizona State University, Florida, University of Hawaii. So the average is 66%. Your child will go to a college. So if you pass all of your high school classes, you qualify for admission to a 4-year college. And, here's the deal. Some colleges, their philosophy is about access to education, not exclusion. So, there's some subtle nuances, and it's up to the student to figure out where do they want to fit in that, that spectrum. So also important to know, local California community colleges are free for first-time, full-time students. And I say local because every community college has community grants, and it's up to them to decide how they spend that money. Mission, West Valley, De Anza, and Foothill provide a free tuition for first-time, full-time students. And sometimes other schools manage those grants differently, so it's not always the case at every school. And this has been a trend for the last couple years for obvious reasons. Taking the SAT and ACT, they're no longer a requirement at all colleges. And the UCs and the CSUs will not consider them at all. Now, that may change next year or the year after for the CSUs, but the UCs are committed not to consider those tests. There is a whisper that they may develop their own test, but at this time, almost every college in the US is test optional. unless you're going to Florida or Georgia. That's a whole other story, but there's a lot of hope for our students. The students are happy about that. It's only the parents that struggle. So here is a timeline. It's just a little snapshot of what the college planning looks like. Freshman, sophomore years, really explore your interest. Work hard and forgive mistakes. That's actually when you want to make mistakes. You want to make those mistakes your freshman and sophomore year so that you can learn from them and you come out a stronger student. Colleges are very forgiving of those. Your junior year, that is when you really, some students are serious their freshman year. That's okay too. But your junior year, that is when you want to focus, compile your college list, and begin working on essays, at least in your head. You want to have your college list by the end of your junior year so that you have that summer to cultivate your essays, your personal statements, and really jump into your senior year full steam ahead and celebrate being a senior, but also take care of business. So at the start of school, you add all of your colleges to Naviance, you ask for those letters of recommendation and work on essays. You want to continue to be aware of deadlines and stay organized throughout the fall. And then in the spring, that is when the results will be announced. And you can apply for community college if that is where you would like to head after graduation. November, your senior year, is the timeline of most deadlines for four-year schools. But throughout all 4 years, that is when you have a meaningful experiences like work, school, travel, volunteer. Those are those extracurriculars. And that is what I ask students is, okay, so if I want to know something about you, I want to know, what do you do when you're not at school? How do you use your free time? And sometimes, students have responsibilities outside of school, outside of sports. So, and that's valuable. If they have family responsibilities, that adds value to their college application. So when you ask your child to help clean up, tell them you're empowering them. You're giving them responsibilities, and they can write about it if they want on their college app. So before you get started, and this is great that I'm presenting to parents, because before your child gets started, it's important to establish a college budget and stick to it and understand what's involved in that. There's a cost of applications. If you decide to visit schools, there's a cost there. If you test, there's a cost there. And then the cost of attendance. Do your research. Know what you can spend as parents and what you expect to be the responsibility of the student. It is their education. It's okay if they pay part of it. If they pay all of it, if that's, but that's a family discussion. Don't let anyone be surprised. So invest time in virtually knowing schools. Sign up for those newsletters. Take online tours. Look at their social media and make notes of what you see and what you don't see. If you see something at one school that you really like, but you don't see it at any other school, investigate. You can ask questions because maybe it's just not that visible, but make notes of what you see and what you don't see. Use resources available through the High School, College, and Career Center. You probably know this, but I send a little love note every Friday to all the students. And the reason why I put that newsletter together is because there's so much information. And I absolutely think that when you have information, it's just a comfort because you know how to manage that. And also enjoy the experience. Your seniors, as they begin their senior year and they're writing about themselves, they're going through this college application experience, they will be different. by the time spring comes around. You will see them mature and find their voice, especially when they're writing about themselves. So definitely enjoy that. And I encourage, as parents, enjoy the time that they're at home. I make a recommendation for parents: 1 day a week, only 1 day a week, talk about college. Pick a day, make it special. Everyone's warned or aware of that day that you're going to talk about college. It's like working out. If you are on a fitness routine, you're not going to see more muscle or less weight if you're measuring every day. But if you allow yourself a week, it is so meaningful to your students because it calms them down and it allows them to prepare for those spontaneous conversations that us adults love to have with our kids. So just a reminder that you do not need to attend one of the top 50 schools in the nation to be successful. It's actually your college experience that's going to determine your success, not the school. So what you take out of the school is determining your success. So this is how you kind of decide, you pick and choose your schools. Use self-assessment to select schools and to determine your priorities. And that may be the faculty, programs, location, cost, distance from home or the proximity, the reputation, diversity, size, financial aid, sports, disability considerations, the overall atmosphere, the student body, the facilities, housing, clubs, extracurriculars. And these are all things that our students are asking about. A lot of prospect students look at diversity. They want to attend a school that has the same level of diversity that prospect has. And I find that so valuable, and I'm extremely proud when I talk to college representatives and I ask about diversity for our students. The rest is hit or miss. That's where it becomes more individualized. But I think the one unifying interest is the diversity. So that's actually, I find that fascinating. Compiling your college list. So a well-rounded college list has about 10 schools. You're going to have your likely, which are about 2 to 3 schools. These are schools you will be admitted to and happy to attend, because every list on your school, treat it like it is the only one you are admitted to. And if you are happy with that, great. Then you don't need to add, 30 schools. So you want to have 2 to 3 that are likely. You want to have about 4 that are target. So your academic credentials make you competitive for admission. Your GPA, standardized test scores, if you submit any, class rank fall within the average range for that particular school. You have a very reasonable chance of gaining admission to a target school, but there's no guarantees. Then you also want to have at least 2 to 3 dream schools, colleges that are unlikely to offer admission, and that may be because they're so selective, even if you do meet the criteria. So a particular college qualifies as a reach or dream school if your high school GPA and test scores are significantly below those of the college's average student. They're also considered dream schools if they are Ivy League or they have really below a 20% acceptance rate. So look at the admit rates and freshman class profile to determine your fit. Okay, so this is a list of resources to really help dig in deep and find those colleges. There's 4,000 schools. So a lot of times I have maps inside the College and Career Center, and when I listen to students, the location is important. And we just walk over and we look at a map, and sometimes it's that easy to find more schools. OSList and Naviance are great places to start when you're compiling a college list. And then also ask friends and teachers for suggestions. Now, one little caveat on that is, remember, this is a very personal journey. So sometimes friends and other people in your community may have different opinions about colleges. So if you see a list on your child's college list that, or a school that's on the child's college list that you're not crazy about, ask them why it's on their list, because then you learn, okay, what's important to them. And that, and you have that open dialogue. But if you just shut them down and say, I don't know, I don't like that school, well, then that, you're closing doors. But if you ask, oh, that's interesting, why is that on your list? Then you learn more about what their interests are. Now, this is really for the students. You're about to send someone away to college, or they're going to be on a college campus. I mean, nobody takes their parents to school. So it's important for them to own what they are doing and take responsibility. So know deadlines and requirements of each college application, including the time zone. This happens every year. A student will come into the office and say, I don't know why I applied early action, but I got a receipt that it was a regular decision. Oh, well, Texas is 2 hours ahead. And if you miss that midnight deadline, you fall under regular. So pay attention to those details. Ask for letters of recommendation weeks in advance. You do not want to rush anyone when they're writing a letter of recommendation. And make sure that your school needs that letter, because you also don't want to ask someone to write a letter that's not necessary. And then make sure to write a thank you note. Teachers and counselors, anyone that you ask a letter, they put a lot of time into writing these. They want them to be thoughtful and really highlight the student in the best light. So definitely write a thank you note. Plan enough time to write your personal insight questions or essays, and have those, your writing, reviewed. So plan ahead, because remember, when you're having someone review something, you don't want to make your procrastination someone else's emergency. And I like to remind that of students, that if you work at the last minute, don't expect last minute help, because usually adults need more time. Make sure students make accounts and portals with each school. This is how the schools communicate with you and measure your interest. Some schools still look at indicated interest, and the best way for them to know how interested you really are is, do you have an account with them? Are you on their mailing list? Are you reading the emails that they send out? They send the emails out all the time. And schools that you're interested in, you're going to open those emails, you're going to click on links, you're going to take advantage of the opportunities that they're sending out, which may be virtual webinars or other info sessions that you can learn more about the school. Students also want to confirm all supporting documents are prepared, sent, and received. And that means, our school report, letters of recommendation, transcript, test scores. A lot of times students will come into my office and I can look on Naviance for them and see if it's been sent. But it's also a good opportunity to talk to your school counselor, but also check your portals and make sure that those documents are received. If you don't see them, sometimes that's just a matter of the school's reconciling files, and it's not prospect that hasn't, but it's on their end. So, but you still want to stay on top of that. So planning for your future should be fun, and the more aware you are of options, the easier it is to plan. What you should consider. Okay, let's start with the career goal. College is a great place to explore career options. If you already know what you want to do, then make sure you know, all the education and training that's required. And it's okay to do that, to do some exploring in college. That's, you know, a lot of times that's why people go to college, is to kind of figure out what they want to do. Another consideration is preparedness. So, you know, many students are ready to excel at a four-year college right after prospect. However, some students need some time to do some personal growth and take it easy for a little bit. And what I mean by easy, community college is not easy. It's still college, but you can pace yourself at a slower rate for better achievement. So, some students, it's their preparedness that directs them towards a community college. And then also consider that overall cost. When you're planning your education, know the total cost to achieve the degree. And if you'll be able to pay back loans that you accrue. Always ask questions to deepen your understanding of your future planning. And then I have some more resources. All right, so these are all resources. I have a college planner worksheet, the UC, the CSUs, the community college, College Express for more college searches, FAFSA and CADA, which is California Dream Act. Those are open. And so that was mentioned earlier. I don't have the slide for our financial aid, but on the 21st, we are having a financial aid information night, and all financial aid starts with completing either FAFSA or CADA. CADA is for our undocumented students, and it works the same way as FAFSA. And so wherever you fall, there is a program for you, because California is committed to educating all students. So I encourage everyone to complete either the FAFSA or the CADA. And the reason why is because no matter your financial income, this acts also as insurance. If something should happen while your child is at college, and you know that maybe that's a pandemic and employment changes, if your FAFSA or CADA is on record, then they're able to make adjustments. If it's not on record, they can't. They have nothing to work with. So I do encourage everyone to complete that. And then some other resources about test optional schools, what to do with a major, and Admit. This last one here is such a great resource, especially when you're talking about money. You can compare and contrast multiple schools on one page to see, you know, not only how much it's going to cost, but potential earnings. And I find that fascinating. So a little note on independent education counselors. You know, a lot of students work with them. I am okay with that. I think that if you can afford to pay someone to help you, then these are 4 people that I've worked with before. I like them. I like a lot of independent college counselors. I encourage you to meet with them, maybe have a one-on-one, see if you can connect. Also, it is not necessary. There's so many resources at Prospect, so don't feel that you need one. A note about Naviance. So understanding its purpose and how to best utilize its tools effectively. So Naviance is a great tool we use to better support our students in their college and career planning. So this platform is used to share documents with colleges and universities, and it's critically important to have students list all of their colleges that they're applying to on Naviance. That is probably, you know, the most salient aspect of Naviance, is that this is how, you know, we support your child. Parents, there's, you know, if you want access to Naviance, just send me an email it's a click of a button, and Naviance will send you access. It's really easy. You can email me now and I'll make sure you're set up. There's not really that much though that you can do as a parent. I mean, it's kind of a tool that you are a voyeur for what your child is doing with their college applications, but you can maybe support them by looking at deadlines or maybe researching colleges, but at the same time, empower your child to make sure that they know that this is very personal for them and that they should be doing that. These are the questions that I received from you. So do parents have access to Naviance and how do we get it? Well, just email me. Will colleges take transcripts from other institutions into consideration for college applications? BYU, community college, not in association with, so yes, they will. You as the student will list that as other schools attended if it's not already on Prospect. For the community college dual enrollment, you still list it like West Valley as a college attended or additional school attended to highlight that it was a college course. When a student gets an F that repeats the class and gets an R replaced on the transcript next to the F, how do colleges view this? How detrimental is it to acceptance? If they replaced the course, you know, the colleges are still going to see the F, but they're going to see that the student replaced it, that they took the course again and, you know, had a reset. You know, the last 18 months have been a struggle for our students. I will tell you, every college is so forgiving. They are very understanding. Do not worry about those things. Worry about the correction and that opportunity to correct. If you're going to mess up something, you want your child to mess up in high school. You don't want them to mess up in college. And trust me, if they have that opportunity to replace that F, it feels good to have that, you know, F become a C or a B or A, and celebrate that. Colleges will celebrate that too. You know, maybe it means you adjust which schools you apply to, but the schools are forgiving. They're more focused on the whole student, not a particular grade. If we're starting with no preconceived ideas of what colleges we want, how can we get started on our search? Well, I hope I answered that question. I do have a few videos on my YouTube channel. I laugh because I say that a lot because, you know, last year we were virtual, so I recorded myself a lot. But, and I do give one on how to do a college search. So, but I hope I gave you some ideas about how to search for colleges. And that's it.